obsessed and possessed on trying to point the way and looking good, but don't lead the way, if I'm not obsessed on that, and I start working on my own individual walk in life, as they say, your personal relationship. If I start doing that, work on me first, then I wouldn't have to point the way. I will be the actual pointer. I will actually turn around and see somebody going like this. Then I'll start walking, they'll walk behind me. I'll go like that, they'll go like this. They will be actually hiding behind trees, ducking cars, and they want to see, where is he going? What is he doing? There are some people that will actually, y'all know I'm a Starbucks person. I'm a Starbucks man. You call me, I may be in Starbucks, my laptop. I know some people that purposely go to Starbucks knowing that they're going to see me, and they really want to invite a conversation, but they don't possess that courage to do it, because there's an intimidation with looking different. There's an intimidation when you wear the fez, not realizing that you're wearing the national headdress of the Moors. You're wearing, in Nigeria, a chief wears this. So subconsciously, our people don't even realize they are, not our people, but people, period. Subconsciously, there's a, I want to know about you, but then I'm afraid because you're outside my comfort zone. I really don't, you're different, So, when you are, I don't want to say living right, but when you're, in Islam, in Arabic is your ibadah. Your ibadah is your worship, your adab, your mannerism. When your adab is upright, they will end up following you and end up, especially if you leave them with something of encouragement, they will remember that, and they will come to you. They will be drawn to you, and linking with the families of nations is not for the person that doesn't go at the point in the way. Because our people are hurt. Our people are suffering with a lot of mental, it's a mental health issue. It's not religious. It's not going to church. Church is good. Church is good. I go to church. I go to mosque. On Sundays, I go to a Buddhist temple on Charles Street. I go to the masjid. I go wherever I want to go. Because I realize on my nationality card, it says Jesus, Mohammed, Buddha, and Confucius. Now, I have never had a card in my life until I came to the Moorish Science Temple of America. I ain't never had no card identify me, I always was an open-minded person, but I never had anyone tell me, brother, you can study whatever you want to. Just stay within the bounds of moderation with it. Just stay balanced with it. Don't get too overboard with this, but you're supposed to study everything because you're the founder of civilization. And it took me a while. I never had a place where I can go and I can get in front of a people on a Friday and be able to share how my week was. Go into the Circle 7 and break down some stuff. Now, I used to be in the 5% nation, or they call it 5%ers, but I used to be in the 5% nation, and one of the things that we used to do, we used to have rallies, universal parliament, and brothers would come and we'd be in a circle, a cipher, and brother in the middle. That was in my younger days. But then there was a time when I had all this information, I had nowhere to go. The Moorish Science Temple is such a wonderful place that you can actually exercise your 5, 6 or even 7th sense. Because it's really 7. We just taught 5 because the ones in power don't want you to use the other 2. So I'm grateful that I'm a teacher that strives to tread the way. I'm grateful for that. I'm glad. I'm working on not sounding good, but doing good. The man that points the way but doesn't go, it says a block of wood can do the same. Well, I went in the dictionary, and a block of wood, it said, a block of wood is decayed wood. It's called a punk. A punk in the dictionary is decayed wood. So no wonder why he can't go. Because on one hand, that person is pointing the way, but then on another hand, their own individual self is decayed. So they can only point to where life is, but they can't go because it says here, chapter 8, Jesus reveals to the people of their sinful ways. Behold, a form without a spirit passes by. A body with no soul, a temple with no altar fire. This car of Krishna is an empty thing, for Krishna is not there. So, how many people do we entertain that look like us, sound like us, have the information like us, however, there's no temple fire. There's no love and holy zeal. All Moorish Americans must what? Keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their body clean with water. And I'm going to say this and I'm going to close. Why would we want to keep our hearts and minds pure with love? Because thoughts are things. Thoughts create chemical reactions and responses in your body. So if you think love and you actually meditate and practice it, it actually changes the molecular form of some of your body cells. It actually helps repair some of the damage that was done by sugar. Because sugar is worse than crack. Good God Almighty. Sugar is worse than crack. It's in everything. It's in everything. So when you think love, not just one day you think love. When you practice it, and you meditate on it, and you speak it, and you reverberate it on it, it changes the molecular structure of some of your cells, and then when you add water, now there's a Japanese man that wrote a book about how if you pray over water, and you look in the microscope, the water has a certain crystallized form. Then when you have something evil over water, it has another crystallized form. So when you pray over water, or whatever thoughts you have that's dealing with water, when you put that in you, it takes on the form of your thought pattern. So if I keep my mind pure with love and my body clean with water, then when I actually take that water, I have to first clean the water that's already in my body, 75%. I have to clean that first through positive thoughts, positive affirmations. Then when I put, hopefully it's not tap water, but when I put some spring water in there, it's already prepared. Purity, paying the way for love. And that's one of the things that I wanted to share. Not beating nobody up, whether they're Moor, Nation of Islam, and Baptist, Methodist. The man or woman that points the way, stands upon the corner of the path. Not one path. The path. So there's more than one path. You have 495, 395. What was the common denominator you mentioned? 95. So we have different paths, but it leads to one common denominator. You know, the Grand Sheik hit me off with that. So one of the things that I'm working on now, and I'm gonna read this. I want to recommend. This is a book. I don't know if it's still in print. This is called the World Bible. This book right here. It's called the World Bible, and it's by Robert O. Ballou, Ballou, and it has Hinduism, Buddhism, Confucianism, Judeo-Christian, Taoism, Zoroastrianism, and Mohammedan. This is a small book that I have that has all the major religions. Now, if you want to be international on a religious level, that's just religion. You start studying all those various religions and see how many friends and associates you have. When you show respect and love, and you can show Prophet Noble Drew Ali in their literature, you can show that, that man was sent at a certain particular time. Well, let me tell you about this man. He was sent at this particular time. You know? So it's just what? It's Einstein stole it. I'm sorry, Einstein. He stole it. Matter is neither created nor destroyed. It just changes form. That's all it is. It was just what? It's the spirit of truth. Just brought back again. That's all it is. You know, so when I share a lot of foreigners, I meet them, and I met one brother who's from the Ahmadiyya community, and their leader, Mirza Ghulam Ahmed, and him and I was wrangling. We were going back and forth because he was trying to convince me that the teachings that I received from when I was younger, from the 5% Nation to the Moorish Science Temple of America, he was trying to convince me that his man was the man. And after sitting in temples and meeting masters along the road and reading and studying for myself, I had to question him. Hold up. He was sent for that particular time. However, do you know about Nat Turner? Nat Turner? Who is Nat Turner? Do you know about Harriet Tubman? No. Denmark Vesey? Toussaint Louverture? Do you know about Marcus Garvey? Have you heard of Noble Drew Ali? You know Elijah Muhammad? Oh, I know Elijah Muhammad. I said, well, Elijah Muhammad had a master. Who had a master? Who had a master? So I'm sharing this with him, and he's trying to convince me to give up my porridge, the Jacob Esau story. He's trying to get me to give up my porridge, my birthright, on a conversational level, so I would acquiesce to him. I stood firm on that square. I told him, no, brother, I wouldn't have received any life if it wasn't for these masters that came that way in America, in North America, and South America. So I had to really kind of, grill them. Had to give them the history, had to hold up, Doc, wait, let me run this by you. During the 20s, 1913 to 1928, there was a man. There were several people. It was a revolutionary consciousness going on. But there was one man during the time of Al Capone, Babyface Nelson. You know that movie? Public Enemy? What did it say in Public Enemy? When you first see the screen, it says 1933. That's when the stock market crashed. They're telling you through the movie. During that time, they was robbing banks. They was doing all this. But they didn't put in the history books about a copper brown-skinned man who was teaching higher self, lower self, economic acquirement, how to meditate, eat the right foods, having herbal products. You mean someone during the time of all this going on in Chicago, wearing a fez, which is supposed to be an ancient secret society that no one is supposed to know. How did you get the secret? Here's a man who's giving the teachings, and they didn't put him in a history book. I wonder why. I wonder why. You know, because that's the teacher that tread the way, and then on every span of ground. He went to South America. He was in North America. You know, he dealt with international affairs, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, all over. And he went into the ether plane too, in order to bring back some of these jewels that we still have yet to get. So here's a man during this time coming with this information, but yet it's kept hush hush. So it has to be divine, because it's the same way that they tried to go ahead and have that baby Jesus flee to Egypt, while Herod had the people in total darkness, keeping them back asleep. And now the H1N1 virus is killing off the babies, mostly killing off the babies. Well, that's right there in Exodus. Kill the male, spare the female. The Egyptian women and the Hebrew midwives, they was killing the babies. Well, that's what's happening now, because there's something coming. Earthquakes. I mean, I don't know about 3 or 4 tsunamis. You know, now they're bombing the moon for ice. I mean, that's telltale signs. This is the time for the Moors to come together. You know, I'm not into who your Grand Sheik is. Allah is the Grand Sheik. Allah is the Grand Sheik. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter where you're fed. You know, don't be afraid to be challenged. You don't have to answer nobody's questions. You know, some people come to me, what's that on your head? It's a secret. I choose not to speak on it. Because I know that some people mock. They want to mock you. And I don't have time to be going through that right about now. I'm on my way somewhere where there's life, not death. So this is the time for the Moors to come together. Not personality. Not who can, you know, jig the best. You know, it's time for the sisters to rise up. Time for the sisters to rise up, for real, for real. Now I'm getting real. I'm going to close out now because I'm getting real. You know, it's time for the sisters, because there's 1,000 ways for a man to die, but there's only one way for him to come to the planet. Even Jesus himself, they say he's the Son of God. But yet, he had a mother. Now the Catholics, they on it. Hail Mary, the Mother of God. They got that. They know that science. They know it's going back to Asar, Aset, and Haru. They know the teachings of ancient Kemet. The women, sisters, we got to rise up, sisters. Y'all got to do this. There are so many women out there who are the key possessors, or shall I say, in the courts, they are the custodial parents. And they're raising their children with mental health issues because there was a miscommunication between her and the man. Because they don't know that this is the war. This is the art of war. So the sisters need to come out and have more events where they get to heal them. Get some food. They love food. But I'm going to read this, and this describes me and the work that I got to do. Sometimes I go through this. Sometimes I don't. Inconstancy. One minute I'm happy, next minute I'm sad. So what I'm about to read is moments that I go through that I need to work on myself. It's long. It says, One who lives the inner life becomes much older than those around him. Yet outwardly he is the same as every other person. Therefore, the man who has arrived at the fullness of the inner life adopts quite a different policy from the one who is just beginning to tread that path. And also a different one from that of the man who knows intellectually something about the inner life, but who does not really live it. The action, again, is different in the world. For the latter person will criticize others who do not know what he thinks he knows, and will look upon them with pride and conceit, or with contempt, thinking that they have not risen to the mystery, to the height to which he or she has risen, and which he or she understands. He wishes to disconnect himself from people, saying that they are backward in their evolution and that he cannot go with them. He says, I am more advanced. I cannot join them in anything. They are different. I am different. He laughs at the petty ideas of those who surround him and looks upon them as human beings with whom he must not associate, with whom he must not join in all the things they do, because he is much more advanced than they are. But for the one who comes to the fullness of the inner life, it is a great joy to mingle with his fellow man. Just as it is for parents to play with their children, the best moments of their lives are when they feel as a child with their children and when they can join in their play. Parents who are kind and loving, if a child brings them a doll's cup, he or she will pretend that they are drinking tea and that they are enjoying it. They do not let the child think they are superior or that this is something in which they must not join. And what I'm reading from you is a master. His name is Hazrat Inayat Khan. He is the first Sufi master that came to America. He was born in 1882. He came to the United States around the time of the Prophet, and he died in 1927. So during that time, there was a whole spiritual evolution and revolution during the time that Noble Drew Ali was here upon the place of the planet. We went back to sleep. What happened? What we got introduced to? What happened? We put cream in the coffee. Something happened that we started pointing the way, but not going. Something happened where we got afraid to actually be the teacher, treading the way, because we got to go along to get along. So someone implanted a mental viral chip in our community that we are actually afraid to step to the plate. And I read that because I go into that. I'm gonna say for me, I'm gonna cleanse myself. I get into that. They ain't on my level. Yeah, and I have to learn that what I have, it can fit on the pin of a needle. What I really have is nothing. It's just minute compared to the masters here. So I want to close out another day. Brother, you spanked it today. And I read that. Yes, sir. And, I want to share that, I am a Moorish American Muslim. Mm-hmm. However, when I first received the knowledge of self, I was 12 years old in what they call in New York the 5% nation. Mm-hmm. Okay? And then I went to different groups from there and evolved psychologically, spiritually, been to certain things. However, coming into the Moore Science Temple, I have awakened certain international and lawful and legal aspects of my identity. Okay? As being a Moor and legally and lawfully in the process of strategically putting it in government, my nationality, that I am an indigenous, aboriginal, Moor.
That's right.
Okay, in North America, because if you say you're an American, then you got to ask somebody,
Exactly.
well, which American?
You from Venezuela?
You, South,
That's right. That's right.
Central, or North
Exactly.
America?
Different states.
You see what I'm saying? So, and then we get into the Incas,
Yes, sir.
and the word Amir in
Yeah.
Arabic. Amir, and then Incas. America. A-M-E-R, if you change the E to an I, it's Amir, which is Prince. Leader. Then Inca, because that's where we get the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Olmecs.
Right.
That's us.
That's right.
It don't get
Yes, sir.
untwisted now. Even Cortez
Yeah.
said they were dumb.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to share, this is pretty much an evolutionary process for me being a Moor.
Mm-hmm.
However, I must, and I do declare, that there is no man on the planet, in my understanding, in my sense, ready, been doing it on the battlefield for a long time, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
That's right.
That's
right.
what's up.
That's true.
Now, you're a Moorish American, brother. They use the word black, but Elijah Muhammad's teaches it says Asiatic
That's right.
black man.
Yeah.
Noble Drew Ali
That's
mentioned the uplifting of fallen humanity. Elijah Muhammad said the resurrection of the dead.
Yes.
You see, so they all pointed to Marcus Garvey. Beef.
Yeah.
The beef is that it's called deceptive intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
When you feel that your stuff is the right stuff and nobody else's stuff is the stuff.
Come on now.
It's just like, buying some crack or something or some dope.
That's right.
Is it good stuff? You know what I mean? But when we start studying the teachings of both these men, Elijah Muhammad and Noble Drew Ali, you start to see that, well, first of all, they was back in the 30s and 20s and in the 40s, and when Jim Crow was still on. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
You had Al Capone and all them, Lucky Luciano and Elliot Ness and
That's right.
I mean,
That's right.
Prohibition.
Yeah.
I mean, Prescott Bush, George Bush daddy, he was back there. So we keep forgetting that the era of time then was the cause for these men to exist. Noble Drew Ali didn't even live long enough to write books.
Right.
And this is why the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America says that this pamphlet was published in 1927. There's a reason that the Moors are still going on, because there is a legal and lawful aspect of our freedoms that has not been awakened.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But yet there's no champion from the Moorish perspective to come up. So the Nation of Islam, if you take away the word black out of the Nation of Islam, teaching not to take away from it,
Yeah.
but if you just replace the word black with Asiatic, Moorish son.
Yeah, you're right.
So those that's watching this video, don't get it
Right.
twisted. I love you, bud. But the man on the scene today, for real, Minister Farrakhan. Now you may not, he, where's the money in the Million Man March and da-da-da-da-da, but I mean, who has he killed?
Exactly.
I mean, who has he robbed? Who has he stolen from? And, he preaches hate and, well, preaching hate? Well, he ain't sent troops over there to the war.
Yeah.
He ain't
Yeah.
lie
Yeah,
and
right.
say that it was Saddam Hussein. Well, before it was Osama.
Right.
That's right. Uh-huh.
It was first Al-Qaeda.
Exactly.
From Al-Qaeda, this is just the word game.